I've never played Outer Wilds, but in this series, I'm changing that. Welcome back. Wake up, suit up, time to check the log. Last time, we learned of the ghost matter that exploded out from the interloper and led to the extinction of the Nomai and of Solanum, a Nomai who landed on the south pole of the quantum moon. Time to have a quick review of what I've learned of the quantum moon and the pilgrimage that Solanum went on then. The Nomai were able to not only visit the quantum moon, but also build a shrine on it. And there's a weird rule that keeps popping up as well. To explore the sixth location, the shrine must be on the North Pole. I'm going to make sure not to forget that. I feel like it's going to be important. The sixth location that the quantum moon apparently goes to isn't somewhere that's observable within this solar system either. Huh. I'd like to visit the moon soon, but I'm not done on Brittle Hollow yet. There's another location that I've been putting off visiting, largely because of the black hole. In fact, it's fair to say that I probably could and should have spent more time on Brittle Hollow before now. Every time I go there, I learn something new and interesting. The issue is that more. Anglerfish, ghost matter, lava, they're all capable of being scary, but the black hole is just pure horror. So let's go back to Brittle Hollow and visit the Hanging City. What feels like a lifetime ago, I once landed on Brittle Hollow and explored the escape pod that carried the original Nomai to this planet. I learned that they built a settlement just below where the pod landed, but on my attempt to reach it, I slipped. This time, I don't intend to slip, but I very nearly do anyway. As I navigate down this twisting, treacherous path, I can't help but feel proud of the amount of confidence I've been able to build at navigating these sorts of environments. I don't mean to conflate confidence with skill, because whilst I have plenty of one, I'm definitely lacking in the other. Nevertheless though, it is quite a nice feeling. Built into the hanging cliffs are several Nomai dwellings, a temporary settlement apparently. There isn't a lot to find here. The Nomai clearly didn't stay here long, but what is here paints even more of a picture of who these people were, particularly in the time shortly after their harrowing arrival. They built a small shrine here, dedicated to the Eye of the Universe, where they recorded what they could about the signal that they encountered aboard the vessel, the signal that brought them here in the first place. No Nomai before them had ever discovered anything like it, and the signal was in the shape of an eye. Their entire goal was to find it. Other writings in this small settlement are a sobering glimpse into the thoughts of the Nomai that made their home here. They didn't know if the other pods had survived, friends and loved ones were missing, and all these Nomai had after their initial landing was hope that they might not be the only survivors. That hope does translate into their drive though. They didn't want the tragedy that befell their people on the vessel to be in vain. Three murals in the centre of the settlement put in pictures what I've only read about up to this point. The vessel received a signal from the Eye of the Universe, the vessel was caught up in dark bramble, and then 3 escape pods departed, one of which was caught up in the same bramble as the vessel itself. Some Nomai writing in this area is curious. The Nomai couldn't fathom why the vessel crashed where it did. When their vessel warped, it followed the signal but arrived in the wrong place. A single line in this text provokes quite an interesting theory. What if the problem wasn't with the vessel, but with the destination? I'm not entirely sure what that means outright, but my mind immediately goes to quantum things. You know, because they're there and then they're not. Weird. I don't stay at the settlement for much longer. The Hanging City isn't going to come to me after all. I'm glad I revisited this place though. It's a quiet and somber ruin now, but reading the words of the Nomai that made a home here and knowing what they went on to do is a comfort in and of itself. The last piece of writing I find here gives one final piece of information on who the Nomai were on an individual level. A Nomai named Kusa left a message for another named Foley. I am unsure how to be me without you. They were all people who cared about each other. I'm not entirely sure what drove me to my next decision, but I opted to make the journey to the Hanging City by jumping towards the black hole. By rights, this should have ended as predictably as you might expect. But I catch a gravity lift and I'm whisked up to where Rybeck is camped. Calculated. I spent a little bit of time telling Rybeck of the things I'd seen and discovered so far. They were particularly happy to find out about the vessel on Dark Bramble. The find helped them confirm one of their own theories about the Nomai being travellers from outside of this solar system. Happy to be of service there, Rybeck. After chatting with Rybeck, I roasted a marshmallow, resupplied my fuel and oxygen, and hit the trail once more. The bridge to the Hanging City is a little bit terrifying, suspended over the black hole and slowly disintegrating as it is, but I make it across without incident. What's a bridge compared to what I've seen, right? The Hanging City is big. Split into 4 separate districts, the Nomai have signposted each with a symbol. I make a note of the symbol so I have a point of reference, and because I was burned on not making a note of the coordinates. I've learned things. So first, the Meltwater District. The first Nomai writings here immediately give me the exact information I've been hoping to stumble into. The Ash Twin project needed a highly advanced warp core. Okay, so the road once again points to that project. 2 solutions to the warp core requirement were proposed. Craft a new warp core based on designs for the warp core within the vessel, or retrieve the core from the vessel. Retrieving the core would have meant the Nomai would have to return to Dark Bramble. They knew this is where the vessel was then. Fortunately, I'm one step ahead of things for a change. We know they didn't return to the vessel, and honestly, it's a good thing they didn't attempt to do so. This means they crafted a new one. If the Ash Twin project is running, which I believe it is, then there's a warp core there. It's only been a minute that I've been in the Hanging City and I've already made a huge amount of progress. Of course, I still have no idea how to get into the Ash Twin project, but, you know, progress. I don't find much else in the Meltwater District, but there is a control mechanism which is labelled as being for the Black Hole Forge. That's a place I think I've accidentally warped to before, and I should probably give it my full undivided attention at some point. Not yet though. I'll travel to the Shrine of the Eye next. Here, the Nomai recorded their own theories as to what the Eye of the Universe could be. In all their time and through all their progress since arriving in this system, the Nomai still only had theories and conjectures regarding the Eye. I find some further, more contemplative writings from Solanum, the Nomai who travelled to the Quantum Moon. Solanum no longer believes that the Eye wants to harm the Nomai and infers that it may not have wishes at all. They then consider that the circumstances of the Nomai arriving in this system were exactly that, circumstance. Perhaps the Eye wasn't calling out to the Nomai at all, and there is no great or deep meaning to be found. Solanum finishes the thought by suggesting that these things wouldn't be so bad. As I journey onwards, I think about that a little bit more. I tend to agree with the sentiment that Solanum has here. It's something I've touched on already, although it feels like a long time ago now. We are all here, of that there can be no doubt. How we got here is a cosmic accident, an event that happens when probabilities exist within infinite time. We exist in an uncaring and meaningless universe, completely by chance. What we do with the time we have, what gives us meaning within the meaningless, is entirely up to us. And that isn't so bad. I feel like Solanum was maybe considering these ideas in the face of the Nomai beliefs and culture, and I think it's important that they found peace with it. Maybe it is just enough that we exist. Eventually, I end up in the school district and find my way into what I can only describe as a Nomai classroom. On the board, at the front of the class, is an explanation of festivals. Nomai from across the universe would meet up at these festivals and share all that they had learned and discovered with each other. They happen every 10 years. I wonder if this is what drove the Nomai to throw caution to the wind and travel here the way they did. More writing from Solanum can be found here too, where they ponder on what I would refer to as the formation and heat death of the universe. The universe was once hot, too hot for anything to really happen. Then it cooled down and expanded, and things, incredible things, did happen. But it continued and will continue to cool down and expand until eventually everything within will cease to be. It's scary to think about and it'll make your brain hurt, but it won't happen for a very, very long time. I've only really come to know Solanum through these recorded texts, but I really like them. I explore the Hanging City a little further, but a way to the Black Hole Forge isn't really forthcoming and time is running out. I think I might need to employ the use of the Warp Tower to get to my next destination, so when I wake up, I'll make for Ember Twin. This journey through the Nomai settlements has been eye-opening, thoughtful and quite sad. They are an intelligent people, capable of love, philosophy and science alike. Learning about them is why I initially claimed to want to travel through the stars, and learning about them continues to be incredibly, beautifully worthwhile. I'm not too sure what to make of these Black Hole Forge controls, on what it is that they're actually doing. Given that it's the end of another loop, I decide just to throw caution to the wind and jump. Maybe I can land on it. Yeah, I can't land on it. Hello again, old friend. Say one thing for the black hole. Say that travelling through it brings you to a place where you get a fantastic view of what's about to happen. I figure for no reason beyond that it's there, I'll head to Whitehall Station in these last moments. I nearly, die attempting to do so, but I make it, so it's fine. We're here. My next objective is something I feel is going to be relatively simple. Get inside the Black Hole Forge. I check the ship log for what I know of the place up to now. The switch I found in the Hanging City raises and lowers it. It's the highest district in the Hanging City, and most important of all, an advanced warp core was apparently designed there. More than that though, I know how to get to it. One of the towers on Ash Twin should warp me directly inside of the place. So I suit up, buckle up, and take off. Of course, I have to wait a little while the towers on Ash Twin become accessible, but that's fine, I can wait. In fact, I decide that I should revisit the high energy lab while I do so. I get there without incident, but when I arrive there isn't anything that I seem to have missed on my last visit. Still, better safe than sorry, right? Returning to the ship, I check Ash Twin, and the towers are starting to become visible. Now I just need to identify which one leads to Brittle Hollow. I know one of them does, I've used it before. That trip resulted in me meeting the black hole, so I know to be at least a touch more careful this time. Examining the towers, I recall that they're all designed in a fashion resembling their destination. I pick the closest approximation to Brittle Hollow I can find and head inside, then I wait a little longer. Sand, man. It gets everywhere. A short time later and I'm whipped through space, and in a fraction of a second I land on Brittle Hollow. First thing to do, pay attention to the floor. It's the only thing keeping me from falling upwards into the black hole. Exploring the immediate area, I find a projection pool but no stones, and a warning. Be cautious when the forge is in operation. But the forge isn't here, it's up there. I need to lower it down, don't I? but the switch is in the Hanging City, which I can't access from here. I take a gravity lift, and now I'm on the surface of Brittle Hollow. My ship is on Ash Twin. I am what can only be described as stranded. Well, damn. For old time's sake, I jump into the black hole. At least I've learned something. I need to go to Brittle Hollow, lower the forge, travel to Ash Twin, then use the warp. Simple. Wake up, suit up, buckle up, Brittle Hollow. I'm reasonably confident I can make this trip and carry out an investigation in the space of 22 minutes, and without my ship falling into a black hole if I land it somewhere unsafe, and without falling into the black hole or any other potential mishap that I've become familiar with myself. Simple. I know that the Tower of Quantum Knowledge will fall into the black hole towards the end of the loop, so I figure it's the safest place to land. It isn't going anywhere for a while. From there, I carry on to the Hanging City using the trails and gravity lifts I've come to know so well. Honestly, it's quite nice, just knowing a place like this. It's a far cry from how I felt the first few times I landed on this planet. Back at the Hanging City, I activate the Nomai mechanism and the Black Hole Forge moves up, down. The Black Hole Forge moves. Okay, step 1 complete. Now to get back to the ship and head to Ash Twin. I've done what I set out to do in good time. There's still a lot of sand on Ash Twin, so much so in fact that I initially struggled to locate the Brittle Hollow Warp Tower. That endeavour actually took way less time than I thought it would, or the sand drains away far slower than I've previously perceived. Not sure. Not important, I'm about to get to where I'm going. Remaining sand drains away and I'll step onto the warp platform. The forge is where I can reach it. Let's find out what we can find out then. Inside is a memory statue and some Nomai writings. The statue is inert, which is expected. Interesting that there's one here though. I start translating the Nomai writing, eager to see what it reveals. All of the black hole cores that were created here at the forge were taken to Ash Twin for use in the warp towers. White hull cores, on the other hand, are placed at the receiving locations, of which there are 6. Counting what I know, that would be here on Brittle Hollow, Giant's Deep, Timber Hearth, and Number Twin. So there are 2 more out there, and I don't think one will be found on Dark Bramble. The designs illustrated in the High Energy Lab show each of the locations as well. Good job, deductive reasoning. Oh, I want it to be tidy. Another set of Nomai texts are waiting to be read. One of the Nomai, Yarrow, believes there's a flaw in their design. One of the towers will never have its receiver overhead, thus it can't align. But that isn't how they work. The alignment only requires the astral body upon which the receiver is placed, and the Hourglass twins, Ash and Ember, are so close together that they function as a single astral body. This is a real light bulb moment in my mind. The warp tower for Ember Twin is also a warp tower for Ash Twin, and the only place that one might be able to warp to on Ash Twin is the Ash Twin project. The way in was right in front of me the entire time. But there's more. See a diagram of a spinning tower on the wall. More Nomai writing next to the diagram states that the alignment angle between a tower and its destination doesn't need to be exact. It has a margin of error of around 5 degrees, which means the warp window is several seconds long. Anyone on the warp platform during the window will be instantly warped. The diagram makes a lot more sense now. Interesting. I find a projection stone for Ash Twin and eventually remember that there's a place I can use it outside. The Nomai log contained within reveals that the advanced warp core is finished and ready to be installed in the central chamber of the Ash Twin project. So much for it being here, but I've learned a lot from this venture, and I think I know how to access the Ash Twin project. I've lost track of time at this point, so I head back to Ash Twin and search for the 2 towers that represent the Hourglass twins. Time to test these platforms. I'm not sure on which platform I'm presently standing, and the anticipation is starting to get to me. Where is Ember Twin, and how have I seen the sun twice? Wait feels agonising. At last, Ember comes into view and... I appear on its surface. That's fine. I know which platform is which now. I make a note. The platform with the cactus is the one I need to use. So, once more, I wait. I become incredibly conscious of my breathing as the rotation continues. I really hope this works. Ember Twin comes into view. I have 3 minutes of oxygen left, and then I become incredibly intimate with the pillar of sand, and all at once I'm flung through the air. In fact, flung through the air puts it perhaps a little bit too lightly. I'm sent into a low orbit as a result of becoming intimate with the sand pillar. Not ideal. I make landfall next to the warp platform on Ember Twin. I have to get back to Ash, but I can't. It isn't active. Then the music starts. Ash isn't that far. Can I jump across? It's worth a try. I've travelled through black holes. I've been in the belly of an anglerfish nest. I even saw their eggs. I've jumped in geysers. What's a planet-to-planet jump on the list of silly, crazy things that I've done? I made it, but time is running out. There's the tower. Land. Land. Go on, gravity. Don't fail me now. Okay. Is there time? It is supernova proof in there, right? The pillar of sand is gone now. That problem's solved. I'm quite low on oxygen and fuel, but honestly, that's probably fine. It's not like there's long left one way or the other. I just need to see if this works. And if I thought the waiting before was bad, it's got nothing on this. Then I hear the explosion. Ember Twin comes into view. Flash. Thank you, once again, for joining me on my journey. I'm loving every single moment of this, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Until next time, it's been Outer Wilds.